Let's freaking go. Let's go. I'm so excited. Christmas is over and we could just get right back to work, even though Christmas is my favorite holiday. Guys, I've got to tell you this. I'm so excited about what these next couple of weeks are going to entail, right? We got the bowl game coming up. I know for sure my guy LJ, he and his lovely wife are going to be at the bowl game. I can't wait to meet you guys. I still got to figure out my travel, still got to figure out my hotel, still got to figure out how I'm even going to get there because I don't have a car. Boat Tie Freddy, Pastor Freddy, what's good? And of course, you guys know who pretty much the number one PHLer of all time is. It's Jared, who's there for every live stream. Towboat, what's good? SC, let's go. DC forever, let's go. I'm so excited you changed your avatar. And my favorite thing about your avatar, what's up, Dion? I'm going to put Dion on the screen in just a second, is I understand. So YouTube has these metrics, right? And I'm able to see what works and what doesn't with the algorithm. And the one thing that doesn't work is when I talk about LSU players in the pros. And I understand I should just talk about Brian Kelly. I should just talk about recruiting. I should just talk about the future. But you see this guy behind me here? You see this guy behind me? Because, of course, we got to get ready for the John Trey Kirkland Wildcat game in the next week or so. There's Dion right there. Love it, Dion. But what Joe Burrow did today, there is nothing on this planet Earth that the world doesn't want to see than Joe Burrow with the chip on his shoulder. Because the day after he was snubbed of the Pro Bowl, what did Joe Burrow do? Thank you. I get a super chat, so I'm going to spend a little time about it. Thank you, Jared, again. This son of a gun put together one of the more legendary quarterback performances you'll ever see. 525 yards, 5 touchdowns. Let's go. And I understand there's a lot of great NFL players currently doing big things from LSU, but never have we had a quarterback do this. Tyrann Mathieu also had another good game. As many of you know, as you can see in the top row right here, I'm a Tyrann Mathieu sports card collector. So it was another big day for him. He made the Pro Bowl. I'm happy. Our guys, we got some guys in the Pro Bowl. But guys, we are witnessing greatness here. We are witnessing a Drew Brees up north. So I understand we're going to get into Harold Perkins and everyone, but I have to start today's show with the biggest story in the NFL. This is the biggest story in the NFL because Justin Herbert looked like booty today. What a day. And my fantasy teams ate it today. In my pick'em leagues, I ate it. And here's the truth. I'm still happy because my GOAT, this man, let's go. I love it. That's true. LSU, let's go. So I understand. Talk about the current. Joe Burrow did what he did. And the algorithm's not going to love me. I don't give a flip. I care about our pro LSU Tigers. Currently, one of my Christmas gifts from my father were a lot more LSU rookie cards that I didn't have. I'm building the greatest rookie card LSU collection you'll ever see. lot of the cards are cheap, thankfully. I bought a bunch of Chad Jones rookies this week for $1. But I care about our guys when I go to the NFL. It means a lot to me when I see them succeed, right? So it was a thing of beauty. But anyway, we'll get into the current team. Thank you, Jared, for the super chat. I'm always down to talk Joe Burrow. I'm always down to talk the great Jamar Chase. I was getting sick and tired of everyone saying, well, Mac Jones is the next great Tom Brady. No, he's not. Stop it. Stop it. Max, I can't curse. I just can't. I'll do this. If you want me to say the F-bomb, it would take a pretty big super chat. And the funny thing about it is, like, I do curse on stage, and I do curse in my private life. I just don't do it on here because of monetization stuff. But Max, if you do drop a very generous super chat, I'll drop an F-bomb for you. It would have to be a 200 though. It'd have to be a 200. So let me start with the Harold Perkins thing. Obviously, that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. So yeah, he's a top uncommitted prospect in the country. Harold Perkins, Jacoby Matthews. So if you don't follow recruiting, those are going to be the two biggest names, right? That's going to be left in recruiting. But the weird thing about this right now is that the most important thing to remember when it comes to this recruiting class is how different things are with the transfer portal, right? Let me ask you a question, okay? As great as I think Harold Perkins is going to be, it is going to take it's going to take a creative defensive coordinator to actually use him properly. You might be getting a Micah Parsons type of player, right? So remember, it's very important to make sure that Harold Perkins knows who his defensive coordinator is going to be, because he can go anywhere, right? Understand, when you get 5-star recruits, with the transfer portal being the way that it is now, players are more than likely going to bounce if they don't like where they currently are, okay? So what I think's going to happen is, when it comes to big-time recruits, you'll see a lot of programs turn down the heat for big-time recruits and focus mostly on the transfer portal because of the freedom of movement from those recruits, right? We say hi to JJ. What's good, man? Good to see you. Yeah, the 4-star defensive end from Albany. There's all these transfer portal names, LJ, that you can't even keep up. What's up, William? Oh, my God. Raging Cajun chat. Didn't all the Cajun fans go to Gainesville? Kidding! I am happy that UL hired in-house. Cliff, what's good? Once again, I apologize for everyone that missed the Van Lathan interview. I know it was at a weird time. It was the eve of Christmas Eve, and a lot of people were traveling. Cliff missed it, and he called me after, or I called him after. I was like, dude, where were you? Like, Van just randomly started talking about our family. And, well, he didn't randomly. I brought it up. But I was like, God, Cliff would have loved it, right? So shout out to Van Lathan, our guest on Thursday. Blake doesn't know it yet, but Blake at Are You Serious is going to be our next guest. I talk to Blake every day. He's one of my best friends. So, yeah, I'm excited. I know a lot of you are fans of Blake as well, and it was going to get wild, okay? Blake can get wild. I freaking love that guy. JJ said, pause. I don't know what it was in reference to, but we do a bunch of pause on here, right? Jared, it was probably the most interesting show we've done, right? It's the only time on this channel we'll talk about Kanye West and Rihanna. I'll never really spend a lot of time talking about Kanye West on this channel, but if Van Lathan's on your YouTube channel, everyone wants to talk about Kanye West. That was so much funny. That was so much funny. It was so fun. Don in Mexico, what's good, man? Burrow will take the Bengals to the greatest team in the NFL for years to come. You know what's funny, Don? This is what blows me away about it. Okay, so I like Joe Burrow a lot, but the one thing that's going to be fascinating. Okay, so you take the AFC North, right? So Joe Burrow plays for the Bengals, and the other teams in the division are the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns. Okay, so I'm going to be brief on this. We'll get into the current team, but Don's my guy in Mexico. Don also, the first time he ever jumped to say a comment, he did super chat, and I really appreciate that, Don. But I do want to share this one quick little fact here. The one thing that could hold Burrow back is his coach. Zach Taylor let him throw it around the yard. I'm sick and tired of watching Bengals games where they're backing into victories. Let Joe Burrow be great. He's got the best young receivers in the NFL with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You wouldn't take another 1-2 young combo in the league right now. I hate the Bengals coach. I'm not a Zach Taylor guy, and the other three coaches in the division are really good. Tomlin, his teams can be a little shaky, but he's never had a losing season. He's solid. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski, I think he was coach of the year last year with the Browns. I would wish Stefanski or Tomlin could coach Burrow in Cincinnati, and Harbaugh's pretty good with the Ravens, even though he's had all these injuries this year. He's not had Lamar. Still, it shows you how important and how good Joe Burrow is. He's winning in spite of not having a top 20 coach. Mac Jones has the best freaking coach of all time. Take Gallup and CeeDee Lamb over Chase and Higgins. What's up, Chase? Good to see you. What's up, Chase? Ironically, Chase jumps in when we start talking about Jamar Chase. Adrian, what's good, man? Good to see you, Adrian. Welcome to the channel. How far do you think the Bengals can go in the playoffs if they clinch? Hopefully pretty far. I know it's kind of weird that I have more Bengals stuff. It just clicked in the back of my mind that we still have the Jeremy Hill jersey up here. Shout out to Jay Hill. I hope Tony jumps in here because I have a Jamar. I have a Jeremy Hill card I got to send to Tony. So yeah, good name. I love it. Texas 8-4 opt out of a bowl game 10 days away. It is kind of interesting, right? Let me put it this way, okay? The bowl season's a little weird for schools like us, right? This is the lowest bowl you'll ever see LSU play in, which is ironic because we did play in the Texas Bowl a few years ago, but we had a far better team, the Patrick Mahomes Bowl. I find it very interesting, right? With Texas A&M's opt-out, I'm not on fire about these bowl opt-outs. I do find it interesting for Texas A&M since they have all this positive momentum right now. They wanted to play in the bowl game. You lose millions of dollars if you don't play in the bowl game. So, yeah, I don't know. It is kind of strange, though. It really is. It's funny because I would not, let me put it this way. I would not want to be at a program where the most impressive accomplishment you've had is a good recruiting class, right? At least Georgia has some clout, right? At least Georgia has made it to a playoff before. At least they go to the SEC championship game. A&M has done none of those things. That's the crazy thing about it, right? So, yeah. So, LJ, thank you for a very generous Venmo here. I appreciate it. Get us the score of the Texas Bowl. Okay, The hardest thing about it, Larry, we'll get back into Blake Baker in just a second. It's good to see you again, Larry. One of our many Lafayette viewers. Shout out to Larry, a fresh barber as well. Good to see you. You know what's really interesting about it, LJ. I go back to this, right, about the bowl predictions. Or Jason, you wanted me to call you Jason. This is the weirdest game to predict for a lot of reasons. The first is this is the most interesting quarterback situation ever at LSU. And that is saying something, going back to the Jordan Jefferson and Jared Lee debacle, going back to the Brandon Harris, Anthony Jennings debacle. It's interesting, right? Even go back to the mid-2000s where we lost the number one overall quarterback in the NFL draft and won a national championship the very next year. This is the weirdest quarterback situation we've ever been a part of. I think we can all agree with this. Getting ready that right now, our best option is a walk-on quarterback. So to give a score prediction, LJ, without knowing the quarterback situation is so strange, right? What I would do right now for the Texas Bowl, let me go look at this real quick, LJ. Let me go look at the spread right now. Okay. What I would do, goodness, I just saw the Dallas score. Dear Lord. Okay. Wow. That's crazy. So the over-under right now is set at 48. Okay, it opened at 46.5. LSU was favored by 2.5. Kansas State now at 3.5. Right? It's such a crazy point spread, right? So let's take a look at who's opted out of the bowl game, right? Neil Farrell's opted out, our best defensive tackle. Damon Clark has opted out, our best defensive player, by a pretty wide margin. We have a ton of injuries, but I'll also say this. Mason Smith can play if he's healthy. Sage Ryan should be ready to go. We'll also have Jack Besh, BTJ, and all these hungry young guys. But what about the quarterback? True. That might be why you see the huge number. But do you really think Kansas State is 5 points worth a point spread shift with John Trey Kirkland at quarterback, if he is going to be the quarterback, or Matt O'Dowd? I don't know. It is pretty crazy, right? I kind of like LSU in this one. I do. It doesn't make any sense to like LSU. Kansas State, this is going to feel like their Super Bowl, right? To get a chance to beat a program like LSU while they're a wounded duck. But I'll tell you this, in that locker room, they know how big of a deal this is historically for LSU. For Brad Davis, this is a big deal. It's a big deal, him getting his first opportunity. I like LSU. I do. I don't know a whole lot about Kansas State. I really haven't dove too deep into their team. I plan to do that later this week. Obviously, there's more to talk about with this team. But LJ, this is going to be the big question. And we'll actually switch the poll question here. Will the Texas Bowl be played? Hopefully LSU has enough on their roster. With the way things are moving right now, I would say yes, because we haven't heard of an outbreak yet with LSU. But then again, this is the Texas Bowl, right? Texas gets things done. We're going to play this game. I have faith. There's too many of us going to this game for there to not be a game. If we don't have enough guys to play, I'm sure a few of our PHL diehards wouldn't mind strapping it up and getting out there. Yeah, that's the thing. I like Jared. Jared moved to LSU most confident. Kirkland's going to start at QB. Who that dude's got sources. I like it. Reed says Jacob Cowing, the good wide receiver out of UTEP in the portal, just got offered by LSU. I like it. Jacoby Matthews is closer to the Clemson safety than Jacoby Stevens. All right, so the Clemson safety, I'm guessing you mean Isaiah Simmons? If he's Isaiah Simmons, that's huge. That could be the difference between a national championship or not. So once again, really laid back live stream tonight post Christmas. I know a lot of you are finishing leftovers. Pretty excited about that. So, guys, I got to bring this up. Go out to Haley's sister's house, and she had a bunch of extended family in. I go out there. I was expecting some leftovers. They ate it all. No more tenderloin out there. And it was such good tenderloin. And they made horseradish, like that horseradish ranch. And Haley's like, Carter, we got some leftover tenderloin out here. Get out here by 6. There will be plenty. I go out there. It's not there. So anyway, we move along. I do want to get into a few other things. I didn't want our new live stream here to be all about the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. We obviously talked about that with Van on Thursday. There's nothing really to report surrounding that. And I think Reed brought this up a few, I think last week, about the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator timeline may not be as important as we think it is because the early signing period has already happened. You know, I agree and disagree with that. I do think it's not like you should lose sleep tonight or the next week if we don't have an OC or a DC. But at the same time, I don't want us to just be, and us, I mean LSU. I don't want LSU to just think, well, look, we already got the signing period done. We might have to wait for the end of the NFL season to get our coaches. You know, I don't know. I just find that to be a little strange. So I do think it's not as important to get your OC and DC in like immediately. But at the same time, I do think it is important to be not laissez-faire about it. Good question here by Coy Moore. No, I don't think any wide receiver is going to come to LSU with no offensive coordinator in sight. You don't know who your quarterback's going to be. And if you come, you're more than likely going to sit the bench. Now, I will say this. Actually, I'm not going to say this because I don't want this live chat to be about this topic again. But I'll say this. One thing would need to happen for a big transfer wide receiver to come to LSU. And I don't think that thing is going to happen. I don't want to get into that thing. But if you do super chat, I'll share my thoughts on it again. Because it can get a little trolly at that point. But still, I don't think Coy Moore is coming back. I don't think any wide receiver comes back because you would have to be better than K-Shot. You would have to be better than Jack Bash. You would have to be better than BTJ, and you would have to be better than Malik. I don't know too many transfer portal wide receivers that would be that. Now, the guy from UTEP, is a really good player, Jacob Cowing. I mean, I was reading a stat about him in high school. He was a 2-star recruit because he's not the biggest or fastest guy in the world, but his stats in high school were obscene, and he still flew under the radar, and he's been obscene so far at where he is. So yeah, let's go to the super chat here. Don, what's good, man? Don from Mexico, who's currently in Dallas. I've been tied up in family stuff for 2 weeks. Yeah, it is rampant. So yeah. What's the latest news on LSU recruiting? Okay, let's talk some recruiting here. Thank you so much. Obviously, Don, that's the big thing. The transfer portal. All right, that's going to be the number one story before we actually get to February. So the first thing is understanding a recruiting timeline. Okay, the first thing is, number one, LSU has a crap ton of slots left in this cycle. They, I think, have the fewest. Maybe one of you can check on this for me. Actually, I'll just do it now. I think, Don, LSU has the fewest amount of signees in all of the SEC. So let me look right now. LSU. Okay, I have 2021 pulled up. 2022, LSU currently is outside the top 5, of course. Let me pull this up just for you, Don, because you super chatted. Let's see. Share screen, Chrome tab right here, and boom. Okay, here we go. And I want to pull up 2022. Okay. Okay. And Don, I'm going to zoom this in for you right here. Okay. Scroll down. You see LSU has the fewest amount of commitments. Okay. So you notice all these schools have 22, 10. Well, Florida has the fewest, and they're going through a coach switch as well. But still, the point remains the same. LSU with 13 commitments right now, Don. That's good and bad, right? The reason why that's good is you have freedom to sign whoever you want. You have as many slots you could potentially use. The bad part about that is a lot of other schools have more slots because of the new rule where you could sign up to 7 transfers without it counting against your 25-player slot. So as far as recruiting is concerned, LSU has a lot of freedom to do what they want. So in February, if they like a 3-star kid they want to take a flyer on, sure, give them a scholarship, see what happens. Obviously, Don, a lot's going to come down to what is going to happen with guys like Tyrion Davis-Price, who could use an extra year of playing at LSU to improve his draft stock. But then again, how much higher is his draft stock actually going to get? And a running back's timeline isn't that friendly, as the great Jeremy Hill shared with us not too long ago. One injury in your NFL career can be done. Your college career could end your NFL career before it even started. I think TDP is going to go to the NFL. I do. It would be very nice to get him back. I think he would fit in really well with what Brian Kelly's trying to do. I think Brian Kelly's going to make us a more physical team. I don't think we're going to go back to the Les Miles years. I think we will see more running of the football. But the big thing here, Don, is obviously Carvis has really followed TDP's career really closely. And this running back class isn't as good as it was last year or even the year before, where, you had Clyde and Swift and Jonathan Taylor. And last year, of course, you had Najee Harris, who's phenomenal. So once again, we're not getting too, I don't want to turn this into a draft chat, but yeah, I think TDP goes, right? I do. And I do think TDP is going to test better than most people expect him to. I do. I think he's a little bit more athletic. just because he doesn't have as much like Leonard Fournette, Jeremy Hill, like home run hitting ability. I do think TDP overall is a pretty explosive back. So yeah, Don, as far as recruiting is concerned, that's the key thing. The second thing is, as far as the names you're going to keep hearing, is the name that you see on the title of tonight's video, Harold Perkins. That's going to be the number one name you're going to hear. That's going to be the 5-star that LSU is going to try and get. And then the next is Jacoby Matthews, right? The number one uncommitted prospect in the state of Louisiana. Now, as far as other recruits are concerned, the biggest offensive name we got to keep out for, Don, is a guy that would definitely help the TDP departure the most is Travante Citizen, a 4-star back out of the state of Louisiana who's not signing until February. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, Jason. I really don't. Really want to see John Emery emerge. It's true. I know some of you are on the Zach Evans train. So, Don, first off, I hope you're feeling better. And second thing is, I hope I answered your question. Okay. Obviously, there's some other recruits. There's obviously some other guys in the portal that LSU really wants. So, yeah. I don't know a whole lot about him, Jack. You know, I'm always honest about people I don't know a lot about. I just know nothing. I'll reach out to my Notre Dame guy, Brian Driscoll. I kind of want to have Brian on as a guest. He's really knows Notre Dame, and he's given me a lot of good insight on Brian Kelly. I don't know. It's ironic, though, because since Brian Kelly went from where he is to LSU, I have so much Notre Dame algorithm stuff popping up, so much Notre Dame YouTube stuff, so much Notre Dame Twitter stuff. And I have to say, they do a really good job marketing their program. Will says he's anti-Zach Evans. Larry, where have you been? Kelly often uses 3 tight ends like they did in the 2020 playoff game. Good to see you, Larry. Yeah, I could see this. You know, look, this is just true, right? There's just no other way around it. It's true. Not like John Emery a lot. He got the short end of the stick this past year. Just let everyone play. Who gives a crap about grades? Kidding, but kind of not. Let the kid play. He's been through heck and back this past year. But look, I've got to say this. I'm so sick and tired of I keep hearing this, right? Well, 5 stars don't matter. And 5 stars have not paid good dividends for LSU, obviously, with Eli Ricks leaving. Thank you, Jared, for the super chat. 5 stars haven't paid great dividends, and so on and so on. Louisiana 5 stars have. John Emery would be, I believe, the only Louisiana 5-star bust we've had of the past decade from the state of Louisiana. If John Emery gets healthy and he's ready to go, I think he's going to dominate. He's just too talented to not dominate at his age, and he does have a full year of rest. And I did reach out to a few people I trust with knowledge on this kind of stuff, and they said John Emery is still in good shape, like he's ready to go. So I'm a big John Emery supporter. He's been through a lot, but at the same time, your best ability is availability. You got to be available. And, next year is going to be his year. Hey, Danielle, good to see you. And thank you I saw this comment. This made me really happy. So Jared super chatted again. Jared was a part of our Van Lathan interview this past Thursday. It really was cool. Like, I get chills when I meet someone that's accomplished a lot in the media field. And Van Lathan has done it like in Marvel and in movies and in music. And it was crazy. So thank you, Danielle. You got a shout out in the interview too. What's good? Reggie, good to see you. Reggie, I'm glad you guys, just really quickly. I got to show Reggie some love real quick. Boom. I ordered the biggest crop of booger bands I've ever ordered. Okay. I got a ton right here. Now, if you're not a part of the booger band club like Jared, like Jason, LJ, like Johnny Five, like King Robert, what are you doing with your life? 3 for $25 is the best way to go. As you guys know, the price of everything has gone up. So if you Venmo or Cash App me $25, you get 3, and you get a bunch of really cool cards. Now, I'm going to do this once, okay? I don't know if I'm going to do this again. Thank you, Don, for your insight. I'm going to do something pretty crazy, okay? So the next person to get booger bands, I know some of you are Saints fans, and this guy is currently on NBC. I am actually going to give out this, I almost said Joe Burrow. I'm giving out this Drew Brees cracked ice card to whoever gets booger bands next. I pulled this card. It's one of my favorite cards. It kind of color matches his uniform. So if you do get booger bands, you're getting this card. And I'm also going to throw in, let me see. I want to hold on to that one. Peterson, Patrick Queen, and I'll even go one step further. And the next person gets booger bands. I'm also going to throw in another Drew Brees right there. So there you go. 3 for $25, baby. Hester and Flynn interview together. I did an interview with them on their show with T-Bob. I would love for Hester and Flynn to come on this channel. That would be pretty crazy. I don't know if I'd be able to contain myself. I'd be that happy. Also, Towboat is a Booger Band Gang member. Thank you so much. Eric Singley is not a bust. You can't. You could say he's a disappointment, but you can't say he's a bust. That's just factually incorrect. Lived under expectations. You could make an argument for that, yeah, but you can't say he's a bust. That's just nonsense, and I can't. So I want to share this as well. Yusha also sent me a very nice Christmas gift. Thank you so much, Yusha. He sent me a very rare Italian soccer jersey. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I got to try it on. I'm kind of nervous to wear it, right? Cracked ice Drew Brees. Cornell is making a little bit of a comeback. Yeah, Reggie, you need more booger bands, man. Reggie's a member of the Booger Band Gang. So you can get 1 for 15, 2 for 20, 3 for 25. Let's see. Danielle. Thank you so much, Danielle. All you got to do, Danielle, is shoot me an email or a Twitter or Instagram message at Carter the Power. Danielle, I don't know if you're on Twitter or Instagram at Carter the Power. Send me a message on there. Let me know if that's the easiest way to do that. And I'll let you, if you don't like Drew Brees, I could send you a Joe Burrow card instead. So just let me know. Yeah, we'll talk some recruiting. We'll talk more recruiting. Let's go. Let me say this, Jack. Let me give you another recruiting, because we talked about Harold Perkins and Jacoby Matthews for okay, cool. Danielle, just shoot me a message at Carter the Power. Okay. So Let me dedicate a question to Jack R4. Okay. Thank you, Danielle, for being a part of the Booger Club. Really appreciate you. And my handle is at Carter the Power on Twitter, Instagram. Shoot me a DM, and we will get that mailed out. All right, I'm going to dedicate a question to Jack R4. Okay. Which son? All right, now I'm going to put this. I need everyone to answer this poll question right now. There we go. What's up, Cody? So Cody's a member of the Booger Band Club. That's him with the Let's Go shirt. That's him with the wristband right there. Doc Knock, all you got to do is send me a Venmo or a Cash App at Carter the Power, 3 for 25, and I throw cards in, 1 for 15, 2 for 20. Danielle, there you go. Thank you so much. And I'll respond to that after the live stream. We're really excited. We got a bunch of bands we got to sell. We got to get them out there. Yeah, Doc, now to shoot me a Venmo or Cash App at Carter the Power. I wouldn't be surprised if Cardell starts next year. You know, look, he might need a new coach. He might need some tough love, right? And, you know, Brian Kelly can be really hard on his offensive linemen. Also, something Brian Kelly can say that the other coaches can't say, even a talented offensive line coach like Brad Davis, who, by the way, has coached some really good players. I'm not saying he hasn't. And as many of you know, you won't find a more like exuberant Brad Davis fan than I am. I thought he was the most important assistant to keep. I think he's really talented. I think his best coaching is ahead of him. With that said, no one can really touch Brian Kelly as a head coach when it comes to offensive linemen with Quentin Nelson, Zach Martin, Mike McGlinchey, and so on and so on. So maybe Cardell needs some tough love. Maybe a fresh set of eyeballs will say, look, Cardell, you're not good enough right now. We need you. We need you. If you're going to be a starter, good. You started versus Texas A&M. What are you going to do about that now? What do you want your legacy to be? And, you know, Brian Kelly is probably the best thing for Cardell Thomas, right? Jack, let me ask. Let me see. Why didn't we offer Walter Baum? I think, Jack, that had more to do with Alabama just beating us, right? Also, Walter Baum, for those that don't know, he's a 4-star defensive lineman out of Lafayette. I think LSU, Jack, had bigger fish to fry. I think LSU really wanted to get Quincy Wiggins. I think Quincy Wiggins is better than Walter Baum. I just do. That's not a hot take. I think everybody does. Also, LSU is really young on the defensive line. Also, LSU already had a bunch of defensive tackles that they were after. Tyjee Hill, Sean Washington. Alabama just jumped on it a little quicker than we did. And sometimes that's going to happen. Now, I will say this. I don't think defensive line is the most important level of the defense to recruit at LSU. I just feel you're going to find defensive linemen in the state often. I just think from this point forward, the number one type of player you need to get is someone that can cover. And that, of course, are fast linebackers and defensive backs. for a few reasons. Number one is our defensive backfield keeps getting injured. We have just too many injuries in our secondary, right? We had the Mason Smith injury this year that sucked. We had the Andre Anthony injury that sucked, and Ali Gay was banged up too. So don't get it twisted. Our defensive line was really, really banged up. The issue, though, is when your secondary gets really banged up, you can run into some major coverage issues. Um, and our numbers in the secondary, I don't, and this is no disrespect to Darren Evans, we don't need to be relying on transfers from nickels to save the day for us. And Darren Evans has had to do that for us 2 years in a row. Cam Lewis shouldn't even have been here this year. He was a sixth-year senior. Cam Lewis saved us. I mean, we had a bunch of other safeties that got hurt. They were inconsistent. They couldn't cover. And all Cam Lewis did this year was from start to finish play a really physical brand of football and play. Didn't pout, didn't whine, didn't care that he was passed up by other guys. All he did was outplay practically every safety we had this year. And a lot of that was just because he was available, but he shouldn't have been, right? We got bailed out by a bunch of sixth-year guys, such as Austin Deculus. Could you imagine how disastrous our team would have been if we didn't have Deculus playing as well as he did towards the end of this last year? We have some numbers issues, and the defensive backfield really needs to get taken care of. So I think LSU with Walter Bob in particular, I think he's going to be a really good player. I know a lot of you like him a lot. So we'll see. Now, Max, you're all right. An elite defensive end can transform your defense. Not saying that Will Anderson or Aiden Hutchinson would not be welcomed on the LSU defense. My point, though, still remains the same. You're only going to play 3 defensive linemen at once. Sometimes 4 if you run heavier sets. But the way the game is moving is you play 3 defensive linemen, a hybrid linebacker end, and from this point forward, you're going to have 5 defensive backs on the field at all time. And you're also going to have a bunch of these safeties get transformed into linebackers. So just purely numbers, you need more defensive backs. And those guys also play a lot of special teams for you as well. So, that's why, you got to recruit a lot of DBs. That's why, I was banging the table for Jordan Allen. Even if he doesn't work out, at least you took a chance on a 3-star Louisiana kid whose dream is to play for LSU. And if he doesn't work out, he's going to give you something on special teams. Exactly. Cam Lewis also played versus Clemson. So, yeah. Adrian's all in on John Emery, year 4. I like an Ed Paris reference. Ed was a good player, just injuries caught up to Ed. He was like he was like only a few slots lower than Jamal Adams. That kid can play. Oh, he didn't sign with Bama yet? Interesting. I didn't know that. I did not know. I thought he signed early. And it's interesting, Jack. He's been committed to Bama so long, he didn't sign early. I like it. Just tweet out my name, no other message. I love it. Kidding. Wondering if they want to keep Andre Carter. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Cody's a member of the Booger Band Club. Cody actually wears his PHL shirt in the avatar. I do have some good news. We do have some new PHL shirts coming out soon. Limited supply. But you're going to love the new design. All right, you're going to love it. Doomerville. I didn't think we'd get a Marcus Doomerville reference tonight. And Greg Penn should be playing. I'm down with some Greg Penn. I like Greg Penn. He'll get to play a lot in the bowl game. Well, he'll probably start the bowl game, if we're being honest. Make some purple Texas 8-4 bands. Yeah, Major Burns. I'd like to see Major Burns play too. So, Jack, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate your generosity as always, my friend. All I want to know is who's going to join the Booger Band Club tonight. Let's see. Darius Jones is a very interesting player. I like Radar. Demarius McGee got some snaps at the end of that Texas A&M game. Any chance Jared Small will still be the starter going into next year? I don't know what Jared's plans are exactly. I don't know if he was a sixth-year guy or if he has an extra year of eligibility. I'm sure that could be worked on. I just don't know, Pegasus. I just don't. Was Jared Small class of 2017? I'm guessing he was, since he and Clyde are such good friends and they went to the same high school. So if he's class of 2017, yeah, he can come back. Yeah, Rita, you could definitely see some portal activity. Thank you, Max, for the super chat. Let's see. Okay, so San Francisco made it to the Super Bowl riding the coattails of their D-line. You build a beastier D-line. You guys don't have to cover as long due to quarterback having to get the ball out quick. Otherwise, that D-line will kick you. Okay. Yeah, I tend to agree with this. Hey. Hey, what's wrong with you?
Oh, I'm just cleaning this up and getting ready for bed.
You getting ready for bed?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Stop.
Well, she's on one tonight. Because she doesn't have her friends.
Stop.
Babe, just ignore her. Just ignore her.
She's just causing a mess.
I'll be out in just a second. Well, you caused a pretty good mess.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. But the bottom line, Max, is you are right about that. But at the same time, you need more defensive backs than you do defensive line. That's just a simple numbers thing, right? I freaking love defensive line. I play defensive line. It's my favorite position in all of football, right? Lynn Dorsey, Chad Lavallee, we've talked about that plenty of times. But the bottom line still remains the same. I do think we're moving towards a faster, more spread out game. And I think you just need more defensive backs. PFF has an interesting stat, wins above average. And the position that actually has the highest wins above average is the defensive backs. I have no idea why Z got in here. Let's see. Starting to heat up in here.
Get daddy. Come on.
Quick, Z. They wanted to see Z.
I'm coming, baby. I was shutting the closet. Well, you can't see her stupid eyes. They didn't cut her hair short enough.
Yeah, she is. She's in there being bad since she's been. It could be good. Z said get booger bands. Now, Danielle joined the Booger Band Club today.
Good. Okay, come on.
All right, they're going to bed.
Come on, Mama.
Late night chat. That's what happens with Z. She gets excited. Z. Georgia was dominant because of the defensive line. You have to carry a bunch of DBs, but don't need all to play. Yeah. So don't take what I said as not needing great defensive line play. Oh, let me do this. Let's change the poll question. All right, Jack, your poll question has been answered. We're going to switch it over to Max. Okay. Hey, Max, your poll question's up, man. Just saying, I would take an elite defensive lineman over any defensive back any day. Aaron Donald is literally, that's true. But then again, you know, Aaron Donald is Aaron Donald, right? He's one of one. Okay, so defensive line is currently winning our poll. Great DBs. Which one is more important? Yeah, Carves, you brought this up before as well. The good thing about getting a good defensive lineman is they can also switch over and play offense as well. You can transfer them into offensive linemen a lot easier than you can a defensive back to the offensive side of the ball. Jared says defensive line as well. Okay. Darius Jones had some very good snaps this year. You know, he had the bad penalty versus Florida, but he was just excited. That was like his first ever chance to really get to play. Can't really blame him too much about that. So, yeah, Jason, where have you been? Elite D-line play takes pressure off your secondary. You can send an extra linebacker into coverage, etc. So, yeah, you guys are, I don't know. I'll say this. Our secondary, let's just take our last great defense was the 2019 LSU defense. Our secondary was what was the best unit on that defense, right? But a reason why that secondary was so good is because our defensive line, while they didn't make a lot of explosive Will Anderson, Aiden Hutchinson, Chase Young, Arden Key type of sacks, they did clog up running lanes. So by our defensive line doing the dirty work, it did allow us to drop more players into coverage. And it did also make our linebacker play better. Big Al, people are wondering where you were. But this was my point I was making earlier. Our secondary is not good right now. It's just not. Like, I like Dwight McGlothern a lot. Really good football player. Darius Jones has some really nice traits. Demarius McGee, we'll see. I did like him. I did like seeing him get some snaps versus A&M in crunch time. But guys, we're a little thin. We just are. And we didn't get Osbury. Jadarian Rom also went to Auburn. And LaTerrence Welch is also someone who's had a lot of injuries. Like every defensive back that we've had that's been good has been prone to injury issues. Every single one of them. Every single one of our elite guys. It happens, right? You got to have some guys that can back them up. You just do. So yeah, I think an elite defensive line though does change a lot of things. So we'll see. But this is how I feel with Towboat. I think our secondary is in a lot of trouble right now. I do. Yeah, I don't know why Langlois and Derek Davis haven't played a lot. It doesn't make any sense. I hope in the bowl game they get a lot of snaps in the secondary. It doesn't make any sense to not do that unless they are sitting at only 4 games played. If they're sitting at 4 games played, they shouldn't play in the bowl game, obviously for redshirt reasons. So I do agree with you. Also, Matthew Langlois, my favorite player in the class. New Roads, Louisiana. Let's go, New Roads. But yeah, I do agree with Jason Super Chat here. That extra linebacker in the coverage, huge. You know, I'd try it. I mean, what? He's a sub 100 meter dash guy. I'd try it. Yeah, so if he's over 4 games, why would you not at least give him a look at safety? Debatable. It's both. You got to have good corners as well, right? Because, last year we did have a good pass rush. Like in 2020, we were top 3 in pressure rate, havoc, and a bunch of stuff. We just couldn't cover. But then again, that had more to do with the play calls than it did the actual players. Roger, is LSU going to have enough players for the bowl game? Or how many new secondary players is LSU going to have transfer in for next year? Okay. I don't know, Roger. The first question, that's obviously, one of the big questions of tonight's live stream. Are we even going to have a bowl game? I think we will. Once again, there's no telling with protocols. I have no idea what's going to happen with that. Then the second part of this question here, how many new secondary players is LSU going to have to transfer in? I don't know. The hard thing about defensive back is it's really hard to recruit those guys. There's just not many guys that can cover really well. It's just a really hard trait. A lot of players that are defensive backs want to play wide receiver. So, yeah. Oh, Doc's going to the bowl game now? Doc, we need to meet up, man. So here's Roger's question. Or how many secondary players are LSU going to have for next year's? And thank you again, Roger, for your generous Venmo. I appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, so this is how I've always felt about the secondary, right? Just based on what we've seen this last these last couple of seasons, man, we got to get some numbers there. We just do. I don't know where they're going to get them. So let's just say next year's secondary, right? Let's hope Terrence Welch is healthy, because if he is, he's going to get his chance, right? So your number 1 corner is Dwight McGlothern, okay? It is what it is, right? He'd be a good number 2 guy, but that being your number 1 is fine, okay? Who's the corner going to be opposite McGlothern? I don't know. But we know for sure Dwight's going to be the guy. Then your slot guy is probably going to be Sage Ryan, okay? Then your safeties, it's probably going to be Major Burns and Jay Ward. So that's where we are right now, okay? So that's your starting secondary. Now, here's where things get interesting. I would guess right now that other corner would be Cordell Flott. But does he come back? I could see a bunch of NFL teams falling in love with Cordell Flott. I can. He's long. He's played multiple positions in the secondary, not safety per se, but he's played slot and outside corner. He's got some really good tape. He also has some good ball skills on tape. He stripped that ball clean versus Missouri. He had that amazing interception versus Mississippi State. He's got a lot of good tape, right? He's got a lot of tape where he's also burned, but the tape where he's getting burned by Treylon Burks. He's getting burned by Kadarius Toney. He's getting burned by Devonta Smith. NFL teams are going to be like, look, it's going to happen, especially if you're playing man coverage on every snap with no safety help. I could see some NFL teams falling in love with Cordell. I don't see a situation, though, where he's going top 3 rounds. I know he's really tight with Derek Stingley. Is he going to be happy at LSU with Sting no longer there? I don't know. So if Cordell Flott does come back, he is the number 1 corner, right? I don't think he is right now. I would think he would lean towards going. Once again, he doesn't know his defensive coordinator is going to be. Obviously, Corey Raymond is someone that he was really close to, right? I could see Flott easily saying, I'm going to give him my shot. And this is essentially it, okay? I understand we're LSU DBU. I understand that. But sometimes, in order to really appreciate greatness, you also have to accept reality. And going into next season is going to be the least confident we've been in our corner room in quite some time. It sucks. It's a reality of the situation. We'll see. We'll see. But at the same time, we've been able to bounce back. Okay? Who remembers 2012? Okay? We lost, to me, this guy right here. The greatest player of the modern era before 2019 happened was arguably Tyrann Mathieu. Lost him in 2019. But we had other guys step up. We had Daryl Simon step up. We had Jalen Mills step up. Eric Reed had a really good 2012 after a great 2011. Even though he played safety, still we had some other guys step up. So we're just going to need that to happen again. Jay Ward needs to be moved back to corner, and Darius Jones moved to free safety. I agree with you, Max. I think Cordell is the number 1 DB on this roster. I just think he takes a shot. I do. I do. I don't think it'd be smart. I think he should come back for another season. I'm not just saying that because I'm a big LSU fan. Come back, be the guy, prove you're the guy, and go get your money then. I understand, you want to get into the league as fast as you can, go for it. I would totally understand it, not knowing who your defensive coordinator is going to be, and your defensive back coach is at Florida. So I can understand it. But if he does come back, he's our number 1 defensive back. Jay Ward needs to move back to corner. Darius Jones to free safety. He's physical and can cover. I like that. I like the outside the box thinking, Max. But the issue with this, and this is very important, is do you really want to do this the second consecutive year, right? Where you have a person who's only played corner, then play safety for an entire season. Now, the second thing you would need to say about or Jay Ward is that, yes, Jay Ward is probably a better corner than he is safety. And it's not necessarily for coverage reasons. It's tackling. Jay Ward was not a great tackler this year. I think when he got truck stick versus a UCLA, Zach Charbonnet, who's an NFL back, when he got truck stick, it changed who he was as a human being. Now, unless you've played the game, and look, I didn't play in an extremely high level, but I know this can happen to players, right? Sometimes you can get hit so hard that everything changes. Your world changes, right? And I think that happened to Jay Ward after the UCLA truck stick, which was brutal. Okay, so it happened in the first quarter. Jay Ward gets run over, and the UCLA pile fell on him at the same time. It knocked him out of the game. And he was not the same person after that game. He had some really rough tackling attempts. Ole Miss game was bad. Texas A&M, there were some weird spots in there as well. So the actual coverage aspect of being a safety, Jay Ward was okay, but the tackling, like, what was an issue. So I would like to see him move back to corner. Slot corner would be something interesting. I could also see that being a switch where Sage Ryan becomes a safety. Maybe Sage Ryan becomes a strong safety. Maybe Langlois could be your free safety. Or Derek Davis Jr. could be your free safety in year 2. So we'll see. I mean, did it not, Doc? First off, that truck stick was really brutal. Damon Clark, I think he misread his gap, and it changed him. When you get run over that bad, sometimes, especially if it's your first game playing the position, because if you move from corner to safety, what do they tell you? You better be ready to have your chin strap buckled up, right? Not everyone could be Craig Stelz. Not everyone could be LaRon. Some people aren't built for that, right? It sucks. If a running back is running through clean, especially if it's an NFL back, that can change who you are. Some hits do that. Yeah, I agree with this, Daniel. I really do. But Max, I do agree. I do agree with this. So I would like Jay Ward to move back to corner. We'll see. McLaughlin, Flott, Ward, Jones, McGee, Welch. We need LaTerrence to be healthy. Tyler, we actually started the live stream with that. It's good to actually see you, Tyler, with the dog. I love it. Steven, welcome to the channel. Ojolari said tonight Colada that Kirkland was taking some starting snaps at practice. Let's do it. Let's go. Yeah, someone else mentioned that a little bit earlier. Very interesting. Let's do it. Safeties, Burns, Davis, Ryan, Tolles, Langlois, and Allen. And then, of course, Brian makes a good point here. How many linebackers do we have? It's a good question. Linebacker's a little interesting, right? So you lose a guy who is, we can all admit is way better than all our other linebackers, Damon Clark. He was just a beast. Micah Baskerville is really good. I think he goes to the NFL next year. Mike Jones has an interesting decision to make. Does he want to come back and, take it one step further and be the guy? That would be huge for us. If not, though, Greg Penn kind of becomes your de facto dude. Then that opens the door for Josh White, Antoine Sampa from the class of 2020. That also opens the door for DeMario Tolan. But yeah. Yeah, I think Sage is going to. I think he could play in the bowl game and keep his red shirt. I think he's only played in 2 games. What's good, Mix? Good to see you. Yeah, I like this. Sportsman, shout out to Jay Hill. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, if I think Langlois and Derek Davis are going to be huge X factors. If they can give us snaps next year, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable about our secondary. Also, let's be honest. Kerry Cooks is going to be under a lot of pressure, right? New defensive back coach. All Kerry Cooks is hearing from, everyone is we just lost one of our best defensive back coaches, and we're bringing in a guy who has an interesting track record. We'll see. Hopefully, Kerry Cooks is the DB whisperer, because we're going to need a great defensive back coach next season, especially if Durante isn't going to be here anymore. That's true. Simplify. Do that. Drop a super chat. If you super chat, you get to pick the next topic. I do want to shout out Danielle. She's a new member of the Booger Band Club. I also think Doc Knock is about to be a part of the Booger Band Club. Would absolutely love that. So, yeah. Perkins comes in and immediately starts. Where? That's the thing. Let's go. Love it, Aaron. No, he's not going to be the only secondary coach. I think they'll obviously bring in someone else. You never know. It's the defensive staffs are all built different, right? Some defensive coordinators come in and they're just the linebacker coach, right? Some defensive coordinators like to be the linebacker coach, but also have an outside linebackers coach, and there just be one secondaries coach. There's different philosophies for how you actually do it. So we'll see. So let's see right here. Let's check in on the poll question here. Defensive line. Max, your poll question, you turned out to be right, but slightly. Very interesting. Hey, 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 56-7. I just looked at the score. I can't believe I lost all my fantasy matchups, sucked in pick'em, but Joe Burrow balled out. I'm still not smooth with the actual pointing in the background, but Joe Burrow balled out, and I'm happy. It's amazing how much better I feel when Joe Burrow balls out. This is interesting, Reed, right? Cordell Flott and McGlothern did play well, right? And there is skepticism. Let me ask you this question, okay? I want you guys to okay. So factor in everything you saw in 2020 and everything you saw in 2021. And I don't want you to focus on the scheme, right? The scheme was bad. We played man coverage on every snap. If there is one YouTube channel that has said that over and over, it would be this one. There are a few things we have been 110% right on. A lot of you said the same thing as well. We said this every day. We've said this every day since the Mississippi State game in 2020. Why are we sabotaging our own defense playing man coverage on every snap? But let me ask you this. Do you feel Semper Merry Christmas to you, my friend? Thank you so much. 11-5 and pick 'em. There you go. So how many of you felt our defensive backs underperformed these last two seasons? Type Y for yes, type in for no. And I'm talking about both seasons. Okay. So you're getting a few Matt House questions. Once again, I'm getting a bunch of questions flying in right now. Super chat your question, that gets your questions answered. I'm trying to get to every topic I possibly can. Jerry, good to see you. He says yes. Big Say So says yes. Sean says yes. Rob, so quit asking. So quit asking. Danielle says yes. Jay says yes, except the last 4 games. Reed says you can't have the 2 best corners supposedly in all college football and get torched last week. It really is so funny. Jay Hill does a better one than I do. He's so great. Jay Hill is a treasure. It's rare. He's a rare breed, man. I was going back. I was actually listening to. It's amazing. Like our first 2 guests were just so daggum funny. Like Van Lathan and Jeremy Hill are so authentically funny. I just freaking love them. That's so cool. They're better when they took the handcuffs off. Yeah, it's true. Now, Jay's avatar, that's an acceptable avatar. I'd rather see you, though, Jay. I think the point is Brian's making is that our schemes were better. So, yeah, right. I think what this past year showed you is how important defensive scheme actually is, right? It used to be in the mid 2000s and the mid 2010s, we could just man guys up and just win. You just can't do that anymore. The routes are too good now. The quarterbacks are too good. The play callers are too good. Plays per game have gone up. So it's hard to play man coverage on every snap. Ed Orgeron and the defensive staff thought that was the optimal thing to do. But obviously, that is not the optimal thing to do. Roger Dodger. Good to see you, man. Jesse, what's good? Good to see you, man. If you don't think Orgeron has handed it's gone. Schemes, zero blitzing nonstop ain't always schemes. I don't think they did it nonstop. They did it a lot in the red zone, where it got a little repetitive. So I do agree with that to a certain degree. Oh, Jesse, that's great, man. Everyone checking in on everybody's Christmas. Let's see. We talk about self-scouting. No better person to give you a clear and honest evaluation than the new coach coming in. I agree with that. For the most part, I also think what makes this so hard is there's just so much you have to do as a coach, almost too much. Like, for instance, I was listening to an interview that Billy Napier did with Paul Feinbaum, right? And Brian Kelly feels the same way about this. So Billy Napier only signed 10 kids during the early period, which is extremely low. And we had about 13 or 14, but really that number would have been like 10, right? That the number would have been 10 if we weren't LSU. The Louisiana factor, let's be honest, we got a few signatures this class just because we were LSU, right? But Billy Napier and Brian Kelly both view this the same way, right? The most important thing you have to do is hire a good staff. And I think both of them are really evaluating their options. And I know Florida staff has come together a little quicker. But still, that's part of the reason why I think Brian Kelly is being really methodical, because there were so many difficult scheme questions that Brian Kelly needed to figure out, right? With Florida, it's a little bit easier because Dan Mullen was a play caller and Todd Grantham was just beyond awful. Whereas LSU, it's a little bit more complex, right? It's, well, so-and-so called first down plays, but someone else called third down plays. And then on the defensive side of the ball, first half of the season, we were horrible. In November, we were essentially the steel curtain. I don't know. Brian Kelly, I'm sure he was a little befuddled when he first saw the numbers and the film. It's pretty crazy. Did you ever get Haley a gift? I did, Danielle. I got her a Lululemon sweater. So what happened was Haley really wanted a Lululemon sweater. So she ordered it herself. Her own size. I let her pick it out. Why not let her pick out the gift? Okay. Second thing is I got her a bunch of photos of us and her nieces and her family members. And that's all she wanted. She also got Harry Styles tickets. That was an early Christmas present. And yeah, those hurt my wallet. Chiefs linebackers are playing really strong lately. True. They do have 2 linebacker coaches. But yeah, they are. Let's see. Lululemon pepper steppers. Matt House will have them playing tough. The problem is defense wasn't better was because Kentucky's offense was so bad. Yeah, so Matt House, we did a full deep dive, 30-minute deep dive on Matt House. If you haven't seen it, it was our last deep dive video. And yeah, I think LSU can do better than Matt House. I do. I mean, any defensive coordinator can succeed at LSU because of the talent you have, right? But Matt House's track record as a defensive coordinator just isn't that great. It just isn't. At the absolute flaming worst. It's not like throw gasoline on the idea. It's just not the best. Jesse likes Durante over Matt House. Yeah, so here's my thing with Durante is, we have to know more about what actually happened midway through the season. Leonard, good to see you. Hey, Carter, great deep dive on potential defensive coordinator Matt House. But if not for performance, why do you think Coach Brian Kelly is considering House's defensive coordinator, defensive scheme, philosophy, SEC, NFL experience? I don't know. I don't know if they've – I don't know. I'm just saying from my research, it just wasn't that great for me. I mean, I look at two things. I look at yards per play and yards per pass attempt. And despite having favorable pace of play, his defenses outside of 1 year weren't ever elite. Now, once again, you don't have the absolute most talent in the world at Kentucky and at Florida International and Pitt, but it doesn't take away that his defenses just weren't great. And with 5 years of sample, only one time when you were the defensive play caller, you were great, right? So for Durante, the sample is also smaller, but then again, he's already there. He has called a defense more recently. Also, at the same time, this is a big what if with Durante. And I would not hire Durante if the answer to this question is not the answer a lot of us think it is, right? Whose idea was it to switch up the defense? Why on earth would you as a defensive coordinator allow your defense to play man coverage on every freaking snap, right? Because if it wasn't you that made the decision to switch to a more aggressive, but more importantly, a more disguise-oriented defense, you shouldn't keep your job. So that's just the simple truth. I like Durante a lot. I like his story. But if it wasn't his idea or if it wasn't his schemes, then you have to reevaluate. Kiffin for defensive coordinator. Huh? So yeah, I mean, look. Here's what I think happened. Okay. I think Darius Jones, for the first couple of games, called a defense he thought Ed Orgeron would like to be called. And that's what partially caused a disaster. I just have a tough, it's just, none of it makes sense. And we still don't have clarity about what happened. I would kill, if there is ever one person I would want to interview, it would be Darius Jones, because I lose sleep. I lose sleep over what exactly happened, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. None of it. Like, none of it. Why wait so long when something so blatantly obvious was happening, where every single fan, You didn't even need to have football knowledge to understand that we ran the same play every time. Why would you let this go on for a year and a half with two different defensive coordinators? None of it makes sense, and we still don't know what happened. I'm not so sure if the players themselves even know what happened. Because, if you're a defensive player, you just do what the coaches tell you. I just don't know. And he still did call a great game. But, that's the thing. Like, we don't know. We just don't know, right? But I'll say this. I would take Durante over Matt House. I still would, even without knowing the answer to that question, simply because Matt House had 1 year of elite success in his 5 years of calling plays. Now, he's been in the NFL. It's been 3 years since he's called a defense. It's been 3 years since he's been back in the college game. He could come to LSU and finally hit his stride. I just think that there's better options out there. And that's the thing, Danielle. It just seems like this was Orgeron. But I just don't know. It's still the craziest thing to me. Darius Jones is my favorite personality LSU has had. He is an interesting guy. I think without him saying I ran one of the second half of the year, he would have to go. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Yeah, it was all Coach O. It was probably somewhere in the middle, right? I would say it would probably be 70% Coach O and 30% Durante. Reed, you're not making any sense. Hey, Carter, now he had 1 year, but he just said he wasn't good earlier before I presented those stats. What stats are you talking about? O did say he would be more hands-on with the defense. Once again, so we just don't know. Okay, years of mediocrity with low talent, a few good games blitzing the piss out of folks. Oh, okay. So Matt House's years of mediocrity with low talent, a few good games blitzing the piss out of folks. That's the thing. He had decent talent. So his first year at Pitt, he had Aaron Donald, and Pitt's defense returned 8 starters, and they were abysmal. Now, that second year Pitt defense was a little depleted. Still, though, they weren't great, and they had favorable pace of play numbers, and they were bottom half, right? Florida International, his defenses were bad. That was a 1-year rental, and he was gone. First year at Kentucky wasn't great. They were bottom in every SEC stat, I believe. I know they were bottom in yards per play and bottom and then in yards per attempt. Then in 2018, they were really good. So, yeah, but that's the thing, Jerry. You would think there would be more than 1 year of success, right? Like the other 4 years just weren't great. They just weren't. There's just no other way I could put it. It's always you're never making sense when you challenge your knowledge. What are you saying? wanted that recognition like Joe Brady got, even though he won Coach of the Year. Corey Dillon. Love it. Was it 3rd and 0 or 3rd and Aranda? I think BK should take a swing at Michigan DC Mike McDonald over Matt House. Oh, yeah, that would be a dream. Would he leave there to come here? It depends on his salary, right? Marcellus, good to see ya. So here we go. Let's see. But you shouldn't be, right? Just because I don't like the candidate doesn't mean that he can't be successful. Once again, a lot of coordinators hit their stride when they get to LSU because of the players that they have. I just don't think he's the best. I just don't. But I did a whole deep dive on it. I don't want to talk too much more on Matt House. But once again, he has 3 years of being an NFL linebackers coach, and he might have some new schemes that we don't know about. Blue Truck TJ. Hey, Carter, do you think we will know who the coordinators are before signing day? Yes, I would. That would be the most befuddling thing in the world if we don't have coordinators by February. That would be the most insane thing. But if Matt House is your guy and he wants to coach with the Chiefs and still the Super Bowl, then we might have to wait until then. But no, I think you'll have your coordinators by then. No matter how it comes and blows up, it will be a lot of, well, I never said that. Remember, Carter? TDP is not that talented, but rush for 1,000 yards. John Emery is. Okay, so I don't. This is word salad. But yeah, I'm happy TDP had a great season. He obviously struggled. Run blocking wasn't that great. Emery never played. Now Matt House comes and blows it up. It'll be a lot of, well, I never said that. I have none of this makes sense. What's LSU's general program offensive identity? Run and gun, play action run. Figure that out, then get the right candidates. Yeah, I think Den Brock is going to be your guy. But if he says no, then I don't know where LSU is going to go next for offensive coordinator. I do agree with that. Right. said before the year the same thing about Darius Jones, said he hasn't called a game in about 5 years and he was a first-time Power 5 coach. I did say those things. Matt House has been a Power 5 defensive coordinator. Okay? Said the year before, the thing about Darius Jones, that he hasn't called a game in about 5 years. It was longer than 5 years, right? Because he was a position coach in the NFL for a long time and a defensive backs coach in college before that. He had never called plays at a Power 5 level, said all those things. Okay? Matt House has. Wasn't that good at it? Darius Jones, once again, his sample is still small. This is what we're trying to figure out here. Zay, what's good? Don't recommend Graham Harrell or Todd Orlando as OCDC, but they are available. Grant, I hope you're right about that, man. Welcome to the channel, Harry. I love it. I know, Zay. You're crying since your guy Max is with Texas A&M now. Sure, TJ. Why not? Give it a go. Give it a go. Welcome, Kaiser. Reed is on one tonight. I hope you hear him now, because later on when you call him out on it, then it will be you're not making any sense. Reed, I really, I don't know. I get things right. I get things wrong. I've never hidden behind getting anything right or wrong. I've gotten a lot wrong. I thought Mo Hampton was going to be great. I don't know what hill you're trying to die on here, but it's crazy. Let's see. Bring Kyler Murray back. He does have a year of eligibility left. See, that's some galaxy brain thinking right there. It's true. We are running out of slots. Roger Dodger on the mic. Let's go, Carl the Cat. Got some more viewers in from the Cowboys game. If you are a Cowboys fan right now, this would be the perfect time to super chat $5. If you super chat $5 right now, your team will win the Super Bowl. Okay? Now, if you do that and the Cowboys don't win the Super Bowl, Reed is going to make sure that you guys know that I said that on this day, December 26th, the day after Christmas. Reed is going to make sure that he's going to remind you that I said that once. Yeah, I'm serious. Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl. I guess Green Bay would be that team in the NFC right now. Yeah, I guess Reed had DeAndre Swift in fantasy, Tyreek Hill in fantasy. I get it. I did too. Tony Dorsett. I'm kind of confused. I think we have 2 Roger Dodgers in here now. Jesse. I hope the Packers don't win. Jesse will be unbearable. Oh, I think Roger Dodger and Roger Dodger are 2 different people. Unless Roger Dodger TMK, who I know personally, who's a big reason why we're here today. Also, Roger Dodger rocking the PHL shirt. Also, rocking his Booger bands. There you go. He's a member of both clubs. Let's go. Ian Book. Let's go. Where are the Ian Book fans? I actually have some Ian Book rookie cards. Roger Dodger. Roger Dodger is going to the Duke Mayonnaise Bowl. North Carolina and South Carolina. Mayonnaise kid. Oh, man. I like how we got a comment from Harry and our friend Mr. Jones. Back to back. Is BK going to hand out big offers like Will Wade tilted toward the family? I don't know. Congrats on your baseball national championship. Based off talent, if we get competent play calling, we should be a 10-win team. I like that. I like that, Adrian. Yeah. Sure. Why not? 10 wins. Let's do it. Let's go. I'll go 1-10 year 1. Let's win this Texas Bowl first. Pull this up. Adrian, I think you're new to the channel. Welcome. And a few questions about the transfer portal. Touched on it a little bit earlier. If you do super chat, I'll get back into the portal in just a second. Let's get to this real quick. Okay. Boom. Boom. Van Lathan. Round of applause. Boom. I still got it, Van. Still got it. You know what's funny, Van? All right. Shout out to Van with the super chat here. 2 big brags on Van. Okay. First thing, it is ridiculous how many messages we've gotten tonight about missing the Van Lathan interview live. So Van, we've had a bunch of people comment earlier saying, caught the replay of the Van Lathan interview and it was great. Jared is also a big Van Lathan fan. So there you go, Jared. So Van, I mean, Got a lot of new fans here. Second thing, see, there he is right there. Boot up, Van. Second thing, Van, let's go to the playoffs next year. Let's go. The road starts in Houston. Okay, no. Here's what we're gonna do. All right. I think Van Lathan is down. I actually just came up with this idea. Okay, so Van, let me know if you're down with this. We know you got some connects. All right. What we need to do, okay, we need to tell Garrett Nussmeier to play. Okay. We need to get Garrett Nussmeier to play in the game. All right. And then we need, when Garrett Nussmeier throws a pick, okay, because he's going to throw at least one if he plays in the bowl game, we need to pay the defensive lineman or any defensive lineman from Kansas State to blindside Garrett Nussmeier like the UCF guy blindsided Joe Burrow. Okay. And that's the key, because if you're a true LSU fan, you know the birth of Joe Burrow began when that UCF guy knocked the soul out of him. And after that, Joe Burrow has never been the same. So we need to sign an NIL deal for someone to blindside Garrett Nussmeier in the bowl game. And then Garrett Nussmeier will turn into Joe Burrow. That's the key. Because remember this, Micah Baskerville blindsided Matt Corral like Joe Burrow got blindsided versus UCF. And Matt Corral this year almost freaking won the Heisman. The key is for the key to be a great quarterback. Van, you and I just, you see, this is what great minds do. Van and I right here, along with everyone else in the chat. The key is for each elite quarterback, young in their career, is to get blindsided. It recoded him, because there has never been a transformation in a college quarterback from 16 touchdowns to 60 freaking touchdowns. You don't go from 16 to 60. Something happened. Towboat, you're right about this, right? No, the key is for Nuss should play in the bowl game, and I need Van and I are going to pay an NIL deal for a Kansas State defensive lineman to blindside Garrett Nussmeier, and then Garrett Nussmeier will turn into the next coming. You see, Say So sees the vision. I'm down with this. So we need to look, first off, we need Garrett Nussmeier to play in the bowl game. Second off, we need someone to knock the living daylights out of him. In other words, reverse bounty gate. Okay? We are doing a reverse bounty gate. It makes sense. We're Louisiana. Things, it's worked for us before. Oh, man. I love it. Oh, man. It's true, Rob. You don't get hit that hard and become. I love it. Let's go, John Trey. I'm excited John Trey's getting this opportunity. I love it. Oh, man. I think Doc said, I think Doc said Nuss would, Nuss wouldn't be able to survive it. We got Harry We have Harry Balzac and Dick Jones in the chat. I love it, man. This channel is literally and figuratively a sausage fest. It's all of us and Danielle. And I must say, Van has joined the Booger Band Club. Danielle has joined the Booger Band Club. And you, I'm looking at you, can join the Booger Band Club. But anyway, we are 2 hours in. We'll touch on any question you want to ask LSU related. Thanks again, Van. Our top super chatter of the night. Thank you so much. And if you've not seen our interview with Van Lathan, you can watch it after this live stream is over. That was one of the funnest interviews I've ever done. Okay. So let me talk about Dick Jones here. All right. Dick, I'm tired of this. Quit using wins as a quarterback stat. Miles lost to Mississippi State and Missouri. Really? How? In 2021, it is soon to be 2022. You would think our brains would be evolved enough to know that wins are not a quarterback stat. You're blaming a quarterback for losing a game where his defense gave up 7 yards per play. 7 yards per play. That's abysmal. And Miles still almost won those games. Now, if you were to say Miles didn't play that well versus Mississippi State, you would be right, because he didn't. He missed a lot of throws in that game on tape. With that said, Jason Hines also missed a bunch of blocks, which cost us 11 points in that game. It's just true. And then the second part of that is that was his first ever start ever. Stop it. You would think a Mississippi State fan would know better than that. But you win one title in baseball and you think quarterback wins is a stat. If that's the case, that means Jordan Jefferson is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Really? None of us thinks that. But Jordan Jefferson went undefeated in 2011. But Dak Prescott lost all those games. Doesn't make any sense. Huh? You're better than that, Mr. Jones. Huh? So wins are part of a quarterback's resume. Guys, you heard it here first. Using Jones's logic here. This is true. Stetson Bennett is a better quarterback than Tim Tebow. You heard it here first. Britt is 32 years old. If you can't win, then shame on him. RD the mayonnaise. I don't even know where you got this name. So what's really cool is it's unfortunate I haven't gotten to meet a lot of you, right? What really sucks is, well, I've gotten to meet the mayonnaise kid. So I was in Baton Rouge earlier this year, and we had a PHL meetup, but Jared was on the other side of campus, and Jared couldn't make the 30-minute journey. It would have been a 30-minute walk for our PHL meetup, which was really cool. It was very short notice. We hung out in the legendary Greek amphitheater for 3 hours. It was so much fun. As a QB, Stetson Bennett is better than Tim Tebow. Pegasus, please. Please. Come on, Pegasus. You're better than that. You're better than that. Exactly, Riley. Like you I think I was saying that while your comment was typed out, but I'm still going to give it credit for you for putting that in my head. I really didn't see it. We're just thinking the same thing. Yeah. My fake name just means I'm from the West Coast. LOL. Long live the Mayo Kid. I mean, that's true, but it's still, I mean, Tim Tebow was a fine passer in college. Once again, I'm just saying, like, as in a college quarterback, even though I don't know if I would take Stetson Bennett as an NFL quarterback either. dang. Reed is coming after Mr. Jones here. Looks like somebody got your first name right. Oh, man. But Mr. Jones makes a good comment here. Miles can't move in the pocket. At best, LSU will go with 8-4 with him at quarterback. That's fair. That's fair. You know, LSU's offensive line, a lot of question marks. That's a little better. But to blame the Mississippi State and Missouri loss on Miles Brennan, that's the last person you should be blaming. But once again, Miles' Mississippi State game, 44 QBR, missed a lot of throws. Wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great either. Bryce Young is a winner. True. Yeah, but he's also an exceptional quarterback. Miles isn't guaranteed the starting job. That's also true. Well, all right, guys, we're over 2 hours into this. Really happy with the numbers on this live stream since it was kind of, normally we do the Saturday night, but I moved it to Sunday so everyone could enjoy it on Christmas. The only thing is I didn't announce that we moved it to Sunday. So to have over 100 of you in here for a majority of the stream was a lot of fun. So let's get to as many comments as we possibly can. I think Tink Bixby is back at Auburn. If Miles survives pregame warm-up, that's a plus. Yes, injuries are a major issue. Jared follows up with this. Once again, Jared, one of our top super chatters. Jared and Van. It's two of my top supporters right there. Let's see. What's up, Branson? Good to see you. Holding it down in Ponchatoula. Good to hear from you. Where are my manners? Just hit the like button. Yes, please hit that like button. Let's see. Lots of reports in here. Matty Ice said BJ Ojolari said John Trey's getting reps at quarterback. It still doesn't necessarily mean he's going to start, so we'll see. I would kind of be interested to see that. Mark my words, Miles 4,000 passing yard season. Okay, let's see this SEC passing yard leaders. Okay. Okay, so there have been 2 quarterbacks in the SEC that have thrown for 4,000 yards this year. It's a lot. Good to see you, Towboat. 4,000 yards. Adrian, that's a lot of yards, man. Does anyone know the 2 SEC quarterbacks that has thrown for 4,000 yards this past season? Can you name the 2 quarterbacks that have thrown for 4,000 yards? And ironically, the guy who just won the Heisman is I just gave one of them away. That's, you're close. You got one of them. Matt Corral actually didn't really get close. There you go, Will Rogers. So Matt Corral's numbers weren't as great as I thought they were going to be. He was still really good, but most of the damage he did was actually on the ground. Now, he had a lot of receivers get hurt. He lost his 2 best receivers this past offseason. So, they had to rely on him running the ball a lot. But yeah, Ole Miss played some really weird games this year. So yeah. All right, let's see. All right, I'll answer as many comments in the next few minutes. Once again, if you super chat, we'll keep this party moving. Will Rogers, the Cowboy Riley, we'll see you Tuesday night. Yes, the Cowboy. Zach Calzada? Sure, take him. That'd be a weird quarterback trade. Max for Calzada. Huh? That would be pretty strange. All right, guys. I'm not sure if we'll get a video out tomorrow. We might just wait for the next live stream on Tuesday. But if we do get a video out, it'll be out tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central-ish. Depends if there's breaking news. But until then, we will see you Tuesday night at 7:05. Once again, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. If you're new, welcome. Like the video. Thanks to our top super chatters, Van and Jared, who also just happen to be 2 of the most loyal viewers on the channel. Guys, thank you so much for not only your viewership, but also your monetary support. Also, I'm a little depressed. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I order all these booger bands. I shouldn't have shown all you guys these booger bands. I should have shown a scarce amount of booger bands. But I'm sure a lot of you are sitting like, oh, I'll just get one later because he's got a ton of them. Well, we've already sold some. We've only sold one during this live stream. Shout out to you, Danielle, our PHL Georgia president. Danielle is a part of the Booger Band Club. Venmo, Cash App, Super Chat. $25 get you 3 of these and a Joe Burrow card. T Mill joined the Booger Band Club. I sent him a bunch of cards. So, yeah. I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Thinking about joining the Booger Band Club. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Oh, we're doing. I'm about to eat a good cinnamon cookie. Let's go. Let's go.